Although President Trump and the Republicans in Congress are stumbling badly early on, Democrats can't and should not count on GOP misfortunes as their ticket back to political power in the nation's capital. The reality is the 2016 election left the Democratic Party in bad shape despite the popularity of President Barack Obama. But it goes beyond just Congress. The issue also, the Democrats lost more than nearly 1,000 seats across the country in state houses as a result. The question now is, what can be done not only to regain Congress, but also to do better when it comes to governor's mansions as well as state legislatures. The progressive multimedia organization Democracy in Color has a plan for Democrats to reclaim victory up and down the ballot over the next 4 years. It includes spending $1 billion to mobilize 10 million new voters. There are a number of other issues that they have. They're going to focus on 17 close battleground states in 2016. And for the exclusive on this particular plan, joining us via Skype from San Francisco, one of the authors of the plan, Steve Phillips, founder of Democracy in Color. So Steve, tell us about this in terms of what is this? First of all, he also is the author of the book, Brown is the New White, How the Democratic Revolution Has Created a New American Majority. Now, Steve, you guys have been very vocal again, as we have, about Democrats totally ignoring black folks and Latinos when it comes to spending money. They keep trying to chase after these white Republican women who never come their way. And so this plan that you have, let's break it down. It's true. Right.
Yeah, so the plan we're releasing today, called Return of the Majority, a roadmap to taking back our country. And it's really an effort to help focus the spending of the Democrats and the energy of the resistance. And that Democratic spending, which will be $500 million each cycle, is really driven by a flawed strategy of mainly focusing on television ads and also chasing after the conservative white swing voters who we never actually able to get to in our fold and whose numbers are shrinking. So what we're talking about is taking that money and expanding the electorate, bringing in the voters of color and the progressive whites who did not vote, and instead of wasting our money on TV ads, hiring local-based staff, working with community-based organizations, hiring block captains to go about expanding the numbers of people who could be voting and who would vote would actually win these elections. Looking at 17 states, they were decided by single digits, 10 which we lost, and there are 10 million potential new voters we could bring into the mix if we would spend that $500 million in that type of a fashion.
When we talk about spending that money, what that also means is literally employing black folks and Latinos who understand the ground. Look, I mean, one of the biggest failures of Hillary Clinton's campaign, and I even told them this, I'm like, y'all know y'all have lost y'all mind and you're going to lose in November. They hired a firm, largely white firm, to handle national grassroots marketing. They were sending white college students into white staffers, paid staffers, to Florida A&M, other HBCUs to sign people up, but wanted the black folks to volunteer. And I'm going, that ain't gonna cut it, boo. And then when we saw the result, they didn't put the money on the ground in Detroit, didn't put the money on the ground in Philadelphia, did not put the money on the ground early in North Carolina. They were not spending money on black media in those places and Latino media in Florida. And look what happened. They lost Florida and North Carolina and Pennsylvania and Michigan.
Right, absolutely. And we had actually talked about this during the campaign when the independent groups rolled out their plans. They, for $150 million of spending, there was $0 for black voter mobilization. So it's not an accident, or it's not surprising that we got 1.1 million fewer black voters because they failed to move in that direction. So that's what we're calling for, is enough of that. Clearly that didn't work. Let's put the money into the communities, hire people from the communities, and methodically over many months, organize our people, register them to vote, turn them out in large numbers. If we have large voter turnout, we will win. We will even win in a place like Texas, which has 4 million eligible non-voting people of color. That's how we need to be spending our money in the years to come.
Malia?
Yes. Good morning, Steve.
Hi, Malia.
I think that...
Well, y'all know Steve is a constituent of Malia in San Francisco.
He's a constituent and a neighbor in Potrero Hill. But I think Steve is absolutely right. He's laid out a strategy that makes sense, and it's doable. It's simple. It's block by block, getting back to the basics. He's been laying back in the cut for a couple years, analyzing the data. He's come up with a strategy, and if everybody would just get on board, I think we could could definitely take
well,
this.
John and Eugene ain't get on this board. But Lauren, we've discussed this on the show again and again. What we saw here, and look, people can sit here and they can be all upset and mad, but here is the reality. A black president presided over a Democratic Party that was spending less than 2% of their money on people of color.
Yeah,
the numbers for the DCCC and the numbers for campaigns in the Democratic Party with regard to black consultants are atrocious. Steve, I assume that this is a plan that operates outside of the DCCC and the DNC, because that's the only way this is working, it would seem to me. Hillary Clinton spent $1.2 billion and just lost, and Donald Trump only spent $600 million and won. I mean, but the point is, I would imagine that I don't think we can operate within the confines of the Democratic Party.
So, Steve, what about this? Are you taking this to the DCCC, DNC, Democratic Governors Association, plus all of those progressive groups, Emily's List and others, and also don't spend lots of money on black folks?
Yes, and so it's both for the energy of the resistance, all the individuals, the new groups that are popping up, people are organizing to show them what are the right places and people to invest in. We identify 18 frontline freedom fighters who are organizations in these states and encouraging people to send resources to them to organize locally to support that work in the South and in the Southwest in particular. But we're not letting the other folks off the hook. We have a list of the largest spending Democratic and progressive organizations. They spent over $1 billion in 2016.
Name them. Hold on. Name them.
Well, there are the party committees, DNC, DSCC, DCCC, and also a lot of the progressive groups. There was the Independent Expenditure Group, Priorities USA, Next Gen Climate.
But they have no history of hiring African. I mean, these groups, they have no history. They have no history of hiring black people in their history. DCCC, Priorities.
Steve, go ahead.
I'm accountable. So clearly, what they did didn't work.
Yeah.
So here's go Eugene, real quick.
This is the thing, you know, it's going to come to a point where it comes to black political power, black candidates, black organizations funded by black people.
Right.
That's what it's going to come down to.
Exactly.
You know, I actually applaud what the collective PAC is doing. You know, black folk funding black candidates for black priorities.
Exactly.
Well, let me say this, Steve. So here's what we'll do as you release this. We appreciate you, first of all, releasing this first, NewsOne Now and TV One. So what we're going to do is, and so you're going to identify all these organizations. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name 2 a day. And what we're going to do is we're going to invite leadership from each one of those onto the show. And then when they decline, they will.
Wait, Democrats
We'll come back and talk about it.
We're going to say
what world are we living in?
We're going to say they decline. And so we're going to publicly out all of them. So we're going to put their name out, the name of the leadership out. We're going to put their website out. We're going to put their phone number out. And so then we'll see how they respond to your call. All right?
Sounds good.
A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge police. His hands are in the air, and you still get shot by the cops.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We're not gonna let hate define us.
Race is a big part of this.
If truly all lives matter, then all lives need to matter equally.
What we require is action. What we require is accountability. We understand that black lives do matter, and we will keep focused on this issue.
NewsOne Now, every weekday morning at 7 on TV One.